What's going on, everybody? My name's Nick Betts here from AWS On Air Sports. I'm joined with my friend Rob Smedley. He's the F1 AWS brand ambassador, correct? Did I get that title all the way correct?
You got it absolutely perfect, yeah.
Perfect. So Rob, can you kind of tell everybody what you do with AWS and F1?
Yeah, so I actually get to do the cool stuff, Nick, because
All right.
you know, Formula One and AWS is a really cool partnership. You know, AWS are now global partners of Formula One.
Yeah.
I've been involved in Formula One for the last 30 years, within the teams, within Formula One itself, you know.
Yeah, where did you get started there? 30 years is a long time with F1. Where did you get started?
30 years is a long time, man. So I first started with what is today is the Red Bull team.
Okay.
So back then it was called the Stewart team.
Okay.
So my first Grand Prix was in 1997.
Wow.
In Buenos Aires.
That's super cool.
That was and things were pretty different back then.
Yeah.
It was a lot simpler.
Yeah, and that's what we were kind of talking about before. There's been a lot of evolution in this sport, right? And that's something that your team specializes in. So you kind of walk us through some of those changes, some of those innovations you've seen in the sport, and then how AWS has kind of played a part with some of the more recent ones.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, when I started in the sport, you know, the cars were much simpler. They were a lot smaller than these cars that you see behind us now, right? You know, tiny little things. But, you know, in terms of data and in terms of the acquisition and the technology, you know, there was like probably 20, 30 sensors on the car. We've now got like 10 times that. We've got 300 sensors on the car. We're bringing off literally, you know, terabytes of data coming off the cars. And it's not only the cars that are collecting data, it's the, you know, the timing systems where we're collecting, you know, huge amounts of data, tire data, where we're generating weather data, metadata for the fans, for the drivers, for the circuits, all of that type of stuff. And what that's meant is that because of this explosion in data, right, data's nothing without the insight. And it's the insight that we used in Formula One teams to try to develop the cars and to develop, you know, to make faster cars and drive more performance. We're now using that insight with AWS, in order to engage the fans.
Yeah.
So we're trying to bring a little bit of snapshot of that technology, a little bit of snapshot of that data, and use that to try and educate the fans as to what Formula One's all about. And AWS have played a massive part in that.
Gotcha. Yeah, and so basically we're getting more data into the cars. That data from the cars leads to better cars. Then that better cars leads to a better fan experience, gives the fans more to interact with, helps us understand the sport better. So this data is accessible to fans. Has it changed the way drivers and teams are approaching like their strategy on the track? What all goes into that?
Well, I mean, look, the teams have always had, you know, this wealth of data, and they've always been really advanced. I think the difference is that you know, what we're able to do now is we're able to, let's call it, bring the data out as a fan experience, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's been the biggest difference. What AWS have brought to this, and Formula One, since they changed that mindset, you know, so it's more of at a league level rather than at a car technology level.
Okay.
But definitely it's the fans who are benefiting from this.
Absolutely. What do you think has been the most influential or the most exciting change that you've seen recently come about to F1?
Look, I think the biggest change for me has been this car behind you, this 2022 car.
Yeah.
You know, and this came about through effectively asking the fans what they wanted. We said to the fans, what do you want? The fans came back and said, we want closer wheel-to-wheel racing. So they wanted that Nigel Mansell, Ayrton Senna, those iconic moments of, you know, banging wheels down the straight.
Absolutely.
Modern Formula One cars before this car, they didn't allow it to do that because of the aerodynamic forces. We then put all of our knowledge in Formula One together with, you know, the tech power of AWS and come out with this car, and that's led to that closer racing, more wheel-to-wheel action on track. You know, it's been brilliant.
Yeah, way more exciting stuff. It's the stuff we all like to see, right? So
totally.
Is there anything you can give us kind of a sneak peek as to what you're looking forward to maybe with the next generation or the next thing you're working on?
I think the next thing that we've really got to lean into, I imagine a Formula One like a Matrix, right? You know, like the Matrix movie of all of this data. You know, I'm a data geek, I'm an engineer.
Yeah.
You know, I live and breathe data. But how do you bring that to the fans? How do you bring that to the fans in the stadium, at the track? How do you bring that to the fans who are sat at home, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I think you can do that. I think we can do that through the deployment of AR. I think you deploy that through, you know, through just kind of collate all that data
Yeah.
and giving the fans a personal experience of trying to lean into this sport like an engineer like me. I think that'd
Yeah.
be so cool.
We get a lot more information as fans. It makes it much more accessible, much more exciting to watch. You feel like you're really
Totally.
a part of the sport a lot better.
Totally.
So there you
Totally.
have it, folks. Chris, you're helping out with making the cars better, helping out with making the sport better fan experience, better athlete experience. It's been awesome talking to you. I'm glad we were able to do this segment. Is there anything you want to leave the viewers with real quick?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say, especially to all of our American Formula One fans, thanks for joining us. It's taken quite a few years, but I mean, you're here now, and you're the biggest growing demographic of fans that we've got. So thanks. I mean, and I hope you're enjoying the journey.
Absolutely. It's been super fun having you all in Vegas this week. And